Hello everybody, I'm Wad. Good morning and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news and transfer news, and Sunday morning is always very different. If you're not from the UK, I've explained this before, you get different news outlets on a Sunday to what you'd normally get, because we do have outlets that just do things on a Sunday, the traditional Sunday papers, so there will be different stories floating around. Something that is floating around and just won't flush is that Manchester United are going to end their interest in Jadon Sancho. This is coming from numerous outlets this morning, which we'll discuss in a moment. Also, Gabriel is going to Arsenal. This has been confirmed by Fabrizio Romano. It will happen on Monday. Is that a snub for United? We've also got latest news on Pogba, Smalling, Thiago Silva, Harry Maguire and a few others. But first of all, I just want to say Friday night we did our video, which was sponsored by Boohoo Man. Thank you very much to them. The link's in the video description if you want to get your clothing through them. I'm wearing some today. Very nice, and you can get yours as well. But we also ran a competition through Boohoo Man. I just want to announce the winner as well. We ran a competition on Friday night through Boohoo Man Clothing, which was a question that you could answer in the live comments. And that was, can you name the three Manchester United players, three Manchester United teenagers, in fact, who share the record for most goals scored in a single season for the club as a teenager? The answers, of course, Mason Greenwood, Wayne Rooney and the late, great George Best, all with 17 goals each. Bonus points for all those who added Brian Kidd in there as well. So who won it? Let's have a bit of a drum roll. Congratulations to Jack Westbrook. You've won the £800 voucher to spend at Boohoo Man, and I've sent you a message directly on your account, and the voucher is coming your way. If you were not as lucky as Jack, don't forget you can still get a fantastic offer through Boohoo Man, which is a 40% discount on a huge range of items at Boohoo Man by clicking the link in the description and using the code United Stand. Don't use any capital letters in the United Stand. It's all lowercase, US, all of it. United Stand, lowercase. I'm wearing some of it now. Very nice. Link in the video description. Get 40% off as a United Stand fan. Right, let's get on with the show. Right, let's start off with Jadon Sancho. Very, very simple. Yes, so Jadon Sancho, what is the situation at the moment? There are stories floating around about Sancho that Manchester United are going to back out of this deal because the cost is so prohibitive. £103 million to buy him, plus £100 million in wages and everything else. This is too much money for Manchester United, apparently. Right, I'm going to give you my thoughts on this. Mark, you're so beautiful. Can you do a Calvin Klein? I think you're packing more than Mark Wahlberg, says Jadon. Yeah, you need to wake up, mate. Matthew Jefferson, thanks for the super chat. Somebody just said, forget Boohoo Man, let's boo the Glazers. Well, look, at the end of the day, I don't. You know what? Let's stay positive. I'm smiling though I'm close to tears, maybe. But it's. Look, I don't believe Manchester United are out of the race for Jadon Sancho, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But this story that United are going to... There's a few things to this. So the story this morning is that Manchester United are going to back out of the deal for Jadon Sancho because it's too expensive, and that they might come back in a year. Now, we'll deal with the coming back in a year in a minute. Let's deal with the negativity around Man United backing out of this deal. This is like being a multi-millionaire going on holiday to a really plush hotel complex where you wake up in the morning, you get out of your air-conditioned room, you walk out into your swim-up pool, you have a little bit of a dip, you go in your big stand-up shower, you put your nice Ralph Lauren shirt and shorts on, you're matching, maybe salmon shorts, your nice little sliders, and a nice open Ralph Lauren shirt. You stroll up to this 5-star restaurant for your buffet breakfast, you're back down the bar, they're giving you drinks. You're having an absolute great time for a week. Absolutely fantastic 5-star hotel. Get to the end of the week and they give you the bill and you go, what? I never thought it was going to be that much. What are you doing? I can't afford that. If I'd have known that, I would have took my own Audi shop and gone to Butlins. And the hotel restaurant, which in this case is Dortmund, says, what did you think was going to happen? This is 5-star. It's always been 5-star. Check TripAdvisor. We've done this before. Ousmane Dembele, Aubameyang. People pay this price for our quality of experience. This is what you get. Did you not think about the price when you walked into the hotel? You pay the price or you get out and you do go to Butlins. And it just feels like if United were to walk away from this deal, it would be the worst PR spin I've ever seen. Because every United fan I speak to knows that if you want Jadon Sancho, you're going to have to pay 100 million. And if United suddenly are going to PR spin it and say, we're ending our interest because it's so expensive, well, I'm sorry. if you walk away from this deal, you're more inept than anyone thinks you are. Because everybody has got no sympathy for you. Rival fans will banter us, but United fans are going to go, what did you expect? Like, what did you expect? Walking into a post-COVID world and bullying Dortmund to giving to you for a fiver. I mean, they're going to get the price they want. He's got 3 years left on his contract. So for me, United ending their interest because of the price. Either we're run by a bunch of prats, which, maybe we are, or we're not going to end our interest because we knew all this before. There was never a cheap deal to be done. You've stayed at the restaurant, pay the bloody price. Mark, how honours of banter club Arsenal beaters and afford a 30 million defender thought they were broke having to make some of their staff redundant, says Andrew C. Well, we'll talk about Gabriel going to Arsenal. That's confirmed in a minute. Can you do a video about player ratings for the whole season? I think that would be pretty good, says Dylan99. Yeah, but we sort of have done that in the past. I don't want to talk about last season. I mean, I don't have a strong affinity with last season anymore. I mean, it was last season a good season. 3 semi-finals, no finals, no trophies, 3rd place. I mean, going back and giving any player any rating for that, it's done. I'm already looking at next season. 3rd place is fine for last season. It's fine. It's not sackable. It's not let's have a rooftop party. It's fine. I think we did well to get 3rd place from where we were in January. I'm not celebrating it anymore. I'm disgusted by what happened in the Europa League semi-final. To me, that was I enjoyed January to finishing 3rd. It was like a nice, cool, refreshing pint of lager. And then when we messed the Europa League, it was like someone pissed in the top of it. I don't want to drink it anymore. I'm not interested in last season. I think we did a good job. I don't want to celebrate it anymore. I'm not interested in last season anymore. What I'm now interested in is what are we doing? Because at the moment, we're going backwards. We're running on a treadmill and we're going backwards because we're not running fast enough and we're going to fall off the edge if we're not careful. We need to do more business in the transfer window. I'm not interested in player ratings for last year because we're just celebrating something that's not going to be good enough next year. We are doing Fantasy Premier League this year, Ishan, and you need to get on our Discord page to find the details, or someone might be kind enough to drop the code in, but I'll certainly get that sorted for you in the next couple of days. I'll do it on the video tomorrow morning, actually. Also, we paid 80 million for Maguire from Leicester, who in his prime, and not on Sancho, who's still developing and solve our right winger for a decade, maybe, says Atman. Look, this is why, it's not why, I'm confident United will sign Sancho because the information I get, but I also can look at it pragmatically like you did just there and say, well, that's another reason as well. How can you spend £80 million on Harry Maguire as a centre-back and refuse to pay £100 million for Jadon Sancho a year later? Everything we do is drenched in hypocrisy. It really is. I mean, there's talk of us paying Paul Pogba 300 and something thousand pounds a week to sign a new contract at Manchester United. Why are we going to give, if we're going to give Paul Pogba 300 and something thousand pounds a week, why would we not give Jadon Sancho the same? You know, Paul Pogba's a good player for United, but has he earned the right to earn £300,000 a week over the last 3 years? I would say no, he's been quite inconsistent. So why is Jadon Sancho suddenly being villainised for wanting a decent wage and being worth £100 million, and yet, as somebody just said there, £80 million of Harry Maguire, and we're looking to give Paul Pogba over 300k a week? I'm sorry, if you're going to do those things, you can't moan about a player like Jadon Sancho wanting that fee and wanting that wage. It's hypocrisy. It is. You can't just suddenly start paying people cheap price. I mean, Jadon Sancho's not a fool. Why should he come into United on 200 grand a week on the same money as someone like Luke Shaw, and then see people like Pogba, De Gea, Martial, Rashford on a lot more? It's his right to ask for that money, and United need to realise if you want to buy quality, which is what we need at this stage, you've got to pay for it. So, Mark, you're spot on. The minute we kick the ball on September the 19th, the transfer window is shut for us. We put all our focus on match days as an excuse and do nothing else, as Akil. And Mark, if we don't sign a player tomorrow, it'll be the longest in 12 years and bring someone in the club. No ambition. Big up the channel. Love it, says Dan Pigeon. So yeah, I've sort of given my opinion on why I don't think United have ended their interest in Jade. Look, can I just be factual here for a minute? It's the Sunday morning show. We're discussing the Sunday morning news. There is stories that Manchester United are going to end their interest in Jadon Sancho. They may end it for a year, but they're going to end their interest this summer. We haven't ended our interest. I can tell you the story. It feeds the negativity. It lets people know the story, which is what we're meant to do on this channel. We can't just feed agenda. That's not what it is. We've got to feed the news and give you the news. And if it's a big story, we've got to react to it. So there is this story that United are going to end their interest in Jadon Sancho. I don't know whether it's United putting their toe in the water to see what the reaction is. to see if they can get out of this deal and not spend the money. But the reality is they can't. And the reality is the interest is still there. And the reality is United are still negotiating for Jadon Sancho. And that is the truth. I mean, there was some weird thing last night that I wouldn't want to put so much weight on, but somebody on Instagram or Twitter that maybe Jadon Sancho's cousin talking about Red Devils. Look, it's a real guesswork, that, and I wouldn't go anything with it. But I do know that United is still negotiating for him. When do you think United will sign Sancho, says Extras? I mean, look, as I said, my guy said to me the day after the Leicester third place game, did the morning transfer show. It's on that one, whatever date that was. If you go back to that video and clip it, I'm sure it said something along the lines of, we've started negotiations for Jadon Sancho seriously today. My guy said he wouldn't be surprised if it happens after the Europa League final. I would actually push it back Champions League final, and hopefully something starts happening this week. Hi Mark, would you be able to confirm any updates with Fabrizio or invite him to show once more, says Swap Neil Thite. Very hard to get Fabrizio on the show. We can certainly ask again, but he's on everything at the moment. Did you hear that Bruno Fernandes flew over to Greece to take Maguire's penalty, says Johnny Wilson. But can I just say this? If Manchester United, let me just analyse this story for you and just give you some bullet points on why United can't walk away from a Jadon Sancho deal. This story that we're going to wait till next year is a load of crap. I mean, to me, that's Manchester. If there's any truth in it, that's United trying to get out of this deal, but make you, the fan, be okay with us getting out of this deal. If you fall into the trap of United putting this deal off for a year, you're an idiot. I'm sorry, and you are not idiots. You fall into the trap that United are going to wait till next year. How's that going to work? Griezmann was coming to United. He said he's going to stay for another year until the transfer bans come. He never came to United. That's a prime example of why you don't wait for a year, because somebody's word means nothing in football. So that's one thing. Two, you absolutely piss off Jadon Sancho because he wants to come to United now. And if you say, can you wait a year? Why are we waiting a year, says Jadon. Because we want to try and get you for cheaper next year. We don't really want to spend the money on you now. So the player thinks, right, okay, I'll wait a year. In the back of your head, you're thinking, if Real Madrid and Barcelona come in next summer and they want me, I'm going. So that's another reason why you don't wait a year as well. Also, the race becomes a three-horse race. And the price doesn't change in a year. So there's three big things there. The price isn't going to change next year. He's still going to have 2 years left on his contract. COVID-19 will hopefully be gone. Clubs will be in a better situation. More clubs will come in the race, which will force the price up anyway. But the price will stay the same as it is now or go up because of the world we're going to be in. So there's no logic in waiting a year. Financially, the player, there's nothing. The only reason to say we're backing out and waiting a year is to con you, the fan, to make you think we're not going to do it this year, but we'll definitely do it next year. It's lying to you. It's like the kid on Christmas. I've been this kid. You think you're going to get a Sega Mega Drive or something, and Santa might bring you that. You wake up and you've got a picture of a Sega Mega Drive to put on your wall. It's a poster, and then you get told, but next year, and you think, maybe next year will happen. And then next year comes and the financial situation hasn't changed. They still can't, unfortunately afford it for you. So we're just being conned like naive people if you think that this deal's getting put off for a year. That's not going to happen. I'm totally confident we're going to sign him this summer. But if they try and spin that, and I hear United fans saying, yeah, we're right to wait for a year, it's totally flawed. It's a flawed logic, isn't it? It just won't work. Let me just have a look at some of the super chats that are coming in and the comments as well. I wouldn't be surprised. We are so stubborn. We've done it with Bruno over 5 million. These people running our clubs are clowns. It's starting to get embarrassing, says Sean Turner. And trust me, and Dortmund needs to sign someone first before selling, says Mark Palfrey. I think that's a very interesting comment from Mark, because I said this yesterday. If they want that Memphis Depay, he's only just finished playing football in the Champions League, and there may be a delay there while Dortmund sort out their player. I still don't think United are paying the money that Dortmund want yet, but what the deal I expect it to be, and this is the deal that was on the table 3 weeks ago when we said the deal is done in relation to the structure, is that Sancho's personal terms are done. The structure of the deal will be over the next 2 summers, and it will be about 120 million euros. That's agreed. The problem is the first down payment. And we hear, look, Manchester Evening News are even still talking about personal terms and wages being a problem. We know that's, well, you can believe, I'll tell you what, in fairness, believe Manchester Evening News and the English press if you want. That's the story that's clearly coming out of the club. But as we know, Romano and other people have said this is not a problem. The problem is, this deal is so close to touching. I've known this for a while. It's all about United's first down payment and not doing add-ons. And we'll see what happens. Morning, Mark. Do you think that if Bruno had been valued at 20 to 30 million more, we wouldn't have bought him and probably not finished in the top 4? Santino, you're probably right. United was so lucky to get Bruno. They nearly messed it up last summer. He's so close. It was this time last year. Well, it wasn't actually. It was the end of July, wasn't it? He's so nearly signed for Pochettino at Spurs. We'd walked away from that deal because we didn't want to pay the money again. It's a recurring theme, isn't it? Money over football. Business over football. We didn't get Bruno last summer because we walked away because we didn't want to pay the money. Even though Ollie wanted the player, United wanted the player, we walked away for money. So never think that we won't walk away from a deal. We did it with Perisic as well. Wactor, welcome to the Members Club. Thanks for joining. And Mark Lloyd as well. Mark, we are so bad at doing business, we haven't even managed to renew Pogba's contract. We won't move forward until we clear the deadwood, says Kels. Well, I don't think Pogba's going to sign a contract until he knows what United's ambitions are. So I've got to say that I hope Pogba doesn't sign a new contract if we don't sign Sancho. Forget Sancho for the time being. Simply can't understand why we aren't pushing for other targets at least. Glazers out. Ed, take a hike, mate, says Abhishek. And this board saves millions from managers' wages as well. Ollie is earning far less compared to other top Premier League managers. Where does that money go? These owners are deceiving us big time, says Akil. I think that's another fantastic point. It is. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is probably on half the wages of any manager in the top 4. We know that we paid Mourinho off about £20 million. We've hemorrhaged money for years. And now now these owners have the audacity to use a serious pandemic like COVID-19 to try and convince you as a football fan that we don't have the money. I've even heard United fans going, you know what? What do people think? What do people expect? We've had COVID-19, pandemic worldwide. People have lost their job. People have lost their lives. And people think United are going to spend money. Absolutely no correlation as far as I'm concerned. In fact, I think it's poor from United if they did that, which I haven't really publicly heard them say. But United are one of the most secure businesses in the world. They can speculate. They could spend 100. I'm sure they've lost money. The revenue. It's a fact. The revenue every day, every game that we're not getting, it loses a lot of money. But other clubs are softening that blow. Other clubs are out buying players. You make a choice this summer. You either stand still and sink, or because you can't spend any money, or you speculate over the next 5 to 10 years. You go, look, we're going to have to take this COVID-19 loss in revenue and factor it in over the next 5 to 10 years in the profits. I would guess that United don't want to do that because United still want the same profits as last year. And to get those profits of last year, it means not spending as much money, because that's how a business and a shareholder-led dividend for your owner's business works. They want the same profits as last year, and to do that, they don't want to cushion. They don't want less money because we get Sancho. So that's where they talk about COVID. If this was if Manchester United was run like a club for the fans, then it's a different kettle of fish. But look, the reality is we've got the money, we just don't want to spend it. As a Gooner, I'm actually surprised Gabriel chose us over United, who will be in the Champions League. Methinks players' ambition relies on club's vision and potential, says Amonil. I mean, look, Gabriel is going to go to Arsenal. I always thought that was going to happen. United did have talks with the player, and that never went to a bid. It's difficult to say that Gabriel chose Manchester United. Chose Arsenal over Manchester United when we haven't put an official bid in. But I said this the other night. I think any United fan that says, I think we've got to hold the L on this. The reality is United expressed an interest in Gabriel and he's gone to Arsenal. We don't know the full story. The story could be that his agent lied about that to get the fee up. But then Fabrizio Romano said that we were in talks with Gabriel. So, you can believe whatever story you want to believe. The story I'm going to say is that we needed a left-footed centre-back. He's reasonably priced. He looks quite a good signing. And United didn't buy him. And I'm not going to defend the club on that anymore. I'm fed up of Manchester United's transfer activity. So I'm going to say well done to Arsenal, who have apparently... I mean, look, you talk about United not wanting to spend money. Arsenal players took pay cuts. I mean, how does that even work? Players took pay cuts. If I was an Arsenal player, I'd be like, hold on a minute, I took a pay cut and you've just spent £30 million on a player. How does that work? I don't even know how that works. But as an outsider, I would say, look, that's a club that took, people lost jobs, players took pay cuts, and then they are spending money in the summer. So if they're doing it, what are we doing? You know? Mark, where are some ways we can pressure the club to make transfers? That's why I think these channels are so important, because you know they listen. Look, the transfer window effectively closes in 3 weeks. I know the official deadline is the start of October, but I think once we start playing football, everyone's focus is going to be on that. So we've got 3 weeks. You know, putting pressure on the club and everything like that. They've got 3 weeks. They've got 3 weeks to do something. Let's see what happens. And I do think we will sign Sancho. Mark, the reason we're not signing anyone is because the Glazers spent their money on Tom Bradley at Tampa Bay in the NFL. They put them over this year, says Ashton. Would you rather Sancho and no one else, or Douglas Costa and other players, says Fardine? I'll talk about that in a minute. And Sarvish, even if we somehow not get Sancho, let's please not get Brooks. That 40 million can be used on someone like Torres or Partey or Van der Beek, says Sarvish. And we're in the Champions League earning 60 million and shifted Sanchez saving about 55 million wages. We have the money. The Glazers are just trying to haggle with Dortmund, says Dave Davies. And I think that will be true. The interesting thing is, Dave, I think we need to do more than Jadon Sancho. I expect Sancho, but I think we need to do more than Sancho. I mean, look, Jadon Sancho plays for United next season. We'll score more goals. But are we going to stop doing what we did against Sevilla a week ago? Are we going to, you know, Sevilla did, I mean, the thing that worries me, Sevilla did sod all. They had 2 chances and they scored, and both those goals came from defensive errors. Where's the where's the improvement in the defence in the transfer market? Like, you know, this Harry Maguire thing, I think it will get dropped, and I think he will be back next season. But that defence is not good enough. If Luke Shaw gets injured, or Aaron Wan-Bissaka gets injured, or Harry Maguire gets injured, the defence isn't good enough. So we need to invest in the defence this summer, right now. What's happening around that? You can't, you know, Sancho's a fantastic signing, but it's you know, technically we do need it, but we also need other areas as important. The Bayern team that started versus Barcelona cost 90 million. What are your thoughts, says Ricardo Terres? We spend too much time spending money on players that aren't worth it. That's Manchester United's problem. We don't trust our foreign network. We don't trust our foreign scouting network to buy players from. And that's why we spend so much money, and also we're terrible at negotiating, as we know. But what I would say is, for everybody who says, you know, Sancho alternatives gets mentioned a lot. If you don't sign Sancho and you sign Douglas Costa, or you sign David Brooks, or you sign Kingsley Coman on loan or whatever, this to me is the difference between trying to do better than third and definitely fighting for fifth. United, if they buy David Brooks, are going to be fighting for 5th place. If they buy Douglas Costa, he'll hardly play, so we'll be fighting for 5th place. If you buy Jadon Sancho, you're looking to improve your team. You're looking to get into title races in the next couple of years. He's not enough on his own, but that's the contrast for me. I'm not a big fan of David Brooks or Douglas Costa. You know, to me, there's no difference between the two. Yeah, there's potential, but there's huge risk there, and it's not the sort of... When you're a club that's trying to close the gap on very good teams like Liverpool and Man City, you don't take major risks to do it. You do things that are going to, you know, statistically make you better. Of course, that player can flop, but everything... You know, you compare Jadon Sancho to Douglas Costa and David Brooks. What's going to be the best chance of making you improve as a team? It's Jadon Sancho. Statistically, factually, evidentially, whatever you want to call it. All the risk is with Douglas Costa and David Brooks. David Brooks, because he's probably not good enough to play in a top 4 side. Douglas Costa, because he's old and injury prone. And also, most important of all, neither are anywhere near as good as Jadon Sancho. Jadon Sancho, I mean, it's like if you play snooker or whatever, you play the percentages. There is probably a 90% chance that Jadon Sancho will succeed and make United better. There's probably only a 30 to 40% chance that David Brooks or Douglas Costa will make them better. Well, if you think about Jadon Sancho, 90%, 90 million, and you think about David Brooks and Douglas Costa, 30%, 30 million, you know, the price tag is reflected in the percentage of likelihood of success and quality. You pay for what you get, effectively. It baffles me that we need money to spend, yet we are not selling the deadwood. Delo, Lingard, Smalling gives you 60 million. Use that for Sancho, says Karen Banza. Well, interestingly, there's a story coming out that Fulham, Everton, and I think I wrote it down somewhere. Fulham, Everton, and Newcastle are interested in Chris Smalling. Now, I've always said this about Smalling. There won't be a shortage of takers. Now, the interesting thing here is that Roma wants Smalling, but Roma don't have a lot of money. Well, the Premier League does. And also, who will have been totally aware of the ability of Chris Smalling in Serie A? who manages in the Premier League, Ancelotti at Everton, will be totally aware of Smalling's ability in the Serie A league of last year. Everton have also got money. This could be a really good deal for Manchester United. Everton wanted Gabriel. They backed out when Arsenal and Napoli looked like they were going to win the race. It shows they've got money for a centre-back. Now, obviously, Gabriel's a lot younger than Smalling, but I think United can get their 15 million for Smalling comfortably off a Premier League club. And I would like to see Smalling staying in the Premier League because it's always nice to see players. Look, I don't want Smalling to stay at United, but it's a bit like Lingard. I don't wish them any ill will. I wish them all the best. So that might be an opportunity for Manchester United to get £15 million in the pocket, whereas I think from Roma it was, we'll give you 13 million next year. We can get Smalling out, 15 million in the pocket very, very quickly. So keep an eye on that one. T-Rex says, do you think another reason we don't sign anyone is because players demand stupid amount of wages rather than playing for the club and badge? It's Jordan White. You could level that. You could level that against anybody, though, couldn't you? I don't think it's. I don't think it's exclusive to that. Mark, what do you think about Marcus Rojo returning to United and being our left centre backs? Karen, that smile will turn into tears off that. Yeah, no, not for me. It goes back to what you were saying, Mark. Yes, we need strength in depth, but more than that, we need quality in depth. Buy the best players and force the competition, says Egas. I agree. The Glazers are tighter than an ant's buttocks, says Fikrit. Quite a good one, that. Now is the perfect chance to sign Sancho. Next year, there will be other clubs that are in that race. For example, Di Maria is old, so PSG would probably hijack the deal. Yeah, for me, if you are a United fan that thinks it's a good idea to wait till next year, you're a fool. Because it won't happen next year. There's too many reasons why it wouldn't happen. You annoy the player, the price will be the same, the competition will be there as well, and we've already had our fingers burnt with waiting for a year like we did Griezmann. We've added 6 players and cleared Deadwood in the last 18 months. The squad is better now than when Ollie took over. We moan in each transfer window this happens. Sancho and others will come, says Dylan Sups. I hope you're right, Dylan. I think I like the positivity. I certainly agree with you on Sancho. I do think it will happen. But I also agree with some of the negativity on this. I mean, we've only got a few weeks to get 3 players in and 4 or 5 players out. I don't think we can do that. I mean, look, seriously, the Premier League season started 3 weeks yesterday. It's going to start in 3 weeks' time. You know, we talk about Lingard moving, Dalot going, Chris Smalling going, Rojo going, Sancho coming in, a centre-back coming in, a centre-attacking midfielder coming in. All of these things can happen. Unfortunately, I think for it to happen, it's going to be happening when the season starts, which for me is not ideal. Because United have this inability to work on multiple deals. We still haven't replaced the players we've let go, excluding Sanchez, so I don't see us getting more than Sancho. The board does this every transfer window. They sound like a broken record, says Omar Marquez. So yeah, Gabriel's gone to Arsenal. He's going to be announced officially on Monday. Disappointing. Let's see what United do on the left-sided centre-back. It is very disappointing. I did want him to come to United. Well, I don't know that. Look, let me be absolutely honest. I've always said that Arsenal will win that race, and I've always said that because we've shown an interest in it, it's going to give Arsenal the opportunity to go, ha ha ha, he chose us over you, and that's the modern football fan, isn't it? You know, that is part of it. This bantering of each other, which is ultimately flawed because there's always a banter back. You know, you finished 8th, we're in the Champions League, but there's always a victory to be had between fans because, you know, and Arsenal will take this as a victory. I wouldn't go as far as saying that Gabriel was the player I really wanted. I've always said that we need a left-footed centre-back. There isn't a standout option. There isn't a left-sided centre-back that we can get that's obvious. Gabriel, for me, is like Pau Torres at Villarreal or Badiashile at Monaco. I wouldn't say one's better than the other. I think they're all interesting signings and we do need to make one. So Gabriel, for me, at that price would have been a decent punt for United. We've decided against doing it, or we've not spent the money. And in the absence of anything else, I would imagine it comes down to money because everything. United don't seem to win races when other clubs are involved. Whether it's Haaland, whether it's Bellingham, we know we wanted those players, we didn't get them. They went to another club. We may well have wanted Gabriel, and he's gone to another club. We seem to be terrible at winning the race for a signing when other clubs are in it, and other clubs that are smaller than us. I mean, Dortmund are not Manchester United, Arsenal are not Manchester United. But in fairness to those clubs, I think Everton could beat us in a transfer race at the moment. I just don't think we're very good for some reason when there's another club in the race. I still can't understand how the Glazers were allowed to buy the club on such a massive amount of debt. For them it makes sense, but I just don't think it should have been allowed, says Joshua Bauer. Well, the Premier League's got a lot to answer for on that. We nearly got bought by Sky and Murdoch, and they stopped that happening because they didn't want there to be a monopoly, and then they let us be bought on debt. Thanks to the Premier League. Does people at Dortmund and players saying Sancho is staying not concern you? I'm confident, but it's really quiet around. As extra, well, I understand why people are negative about the Sancho deal. I totally understand it. But when you've been watching football as long as I have, and many of you have, and you've seen the cycle of United transfers, I still haven't heard enough to make me... I'm not saying the Sancho deal won't fall apart. It's Man United at the end of the day. But I haven't heard or seen anything at the moment that makes me go like some people are. Oh, it's over, forget about it. I mean, I've got so many accounts on my DMs just kept that have absolutely tried to banter our football club saying, ha ha ha, it's not happening. They're going to get it back. But we've got to sign him first. But I haven't seen anything that makes me think it's not going to happen yet. As I've said, I'll do the video that it's over when I get the information that it's over, but I haven't seen anything that it's over. I'm still confident it will happen. Hi Mark, disregarding the price tag, who is your ideal CDM in centre-back? Says Billy C. Centre-back, it's hard. Name me a left-footed centre-back, even a world-class one that should be at Man United. Most of them are right-footed. Welcome to T-Rex, latest member of the United Stand Members Club. As for the CDM, I really like Paradis at PSG. There's another one there, Verratti. I would love that sort of a CDM. Somebody who's a bit tenacious but a culture vulture on the ball. Tonali would have been somebody I would have gone for. But again, I think the CDM role, there isn't a standout world-class let's go and get them, which is why Sancho's so important, because we need a left-sided centre-back, we need a centre defensive midfielder, and we need a right winger. In the right winger position, you've got the world-class option. It's Jadon Sancho. It's why he's so important. The CDM and the left-sided centre-back, I can't really think of a gargantuan world-class player that you just say let's go and get. So in a way that's exciting, but we've just got to get players. United have quality players as well. United have expressed an interest in Haug, player of the season in Norway till now. Right winger, 1 million to Strutsen. Yeah, that's not going to work. Glazers and Kroenke out, ruining these big clubs, says Zane Miassi. Well, you should be quite happy, Zane. You've signed some players, but I know that you want Partey. I heard some people talking about Thiago Silva going to Chelsea. Some people were getting excited that it was Thiago and they were going to hijack another Arsenal deal. I've got to say, sometimes I think stories will be sensationalist just to have a moan. I always try to be even-handed on the United stand because you get lots of different opinions. I've got to say, there is not one part of me in relation to Thiago Silva that thinks he should be coming to Manchester United. He's 35. I don't think that's a good signing for Chelsea at all. I don't. It might be, but it's not the player. I don't want a 35-year-old at United who's never played in the Premier League and offers no future. So if Chelsea are going to do that deal, for me that's a risk signing. Let them take the risk. I wouldn't be looking at that. I would much rather do, I'll put it to you. Would you rather have Gabriel from Lille, who's also Brazilian, early 20s, with a lot of potential, or would you rather have Thiago Silva, 35? I'd take Gabriel every day of the week and Sunday. And look, Thiago Silva's definitely the better player, but at 35, no. I would go with Gabriel. And look, Gabriel may not work out. To be honest, Arsenal haven't got a great record of buying centre-backs anyway. So, but that doesn't, if Gabriel flops at Arsenal, just something else that drops in my head, if he flops at Arsenal, and he might not, doesn't mean he would flop at United. Just the same as if Fred hasn't done as well as he could have done at United, doesn't mean he wouldn't be Arsenal's best player. Different circumstances, different coaching. Pepe at United could be could have been player of the year last year. And Dan James, probably not, he's a bad example. Trying to think of a player that we bought that didn't do fantastically well, but could do fantastically well somewhere else. It's hard to think, really. But you know what I mean. Just because a player flops at one club doesn't mean we shouldn't have bought them. If Gabriel flops at Arsenal next year, everyone will say, I'm so glad we didn't sign him. But it would have been a different environment at United and he might have succeeded. your confidence levels go different as well. Offer Sheffield United some players for Berg, says Dane Gray. I do like the look of Sander Berg. I think at the end of next year he might be a player that United look at. Norwegian, very like Matic. He'll have had 2 years. I do like him. I just don't think he's only just gone there, hasn't he? So it won't happen. We should turn our attention to the Swedish super striker talent Alexander Isak, says Johnny Bologna. And left back is more important position than CDM. We have Fred for that role as of now, along with Matic. We need a backup for sure, along with a left-sided centre-back. I see what you're saying there, Srijit. Yeah. Mark, go with Ronaldo. Swap Pogba. He's been inconsistent for 4 years and he will leave soon anyway. Ronaldo has 5 years left. Greatest player ever. It's interesting. Would you let Pogba go to Juventus for Ronaldo to come the other way? I think it... part of me would say yes, yes, and more yes, but actually, logically, we haven't got a player like Pogba in the midfield, and then you've got to get a midfielder, so no. Sanchez might have succeeded at City, but didn't with us, says Josh. Exactly. I think Sanchez would have succeeded far better at City than he did with us. It's a good example. What are your thoughts on Lucas Hernandez at Bayern? Their new coach has turned Alaba into a centre-back with Davies on the left, benching Hernandez, says Aaron Jones. Too logical for United, that. It's too logical for United to go and do something like that, isn't it? I think, but what do I know? Please subscribe to the channel if you're new, by the way. Bottom right hand corner. Rog McNelly is 25. He's left footed and 45 million, says Wayne Greener. Some good recommendations coming in there. David Alaba we should get. He's perfect and can play centre back and left back. CDM. He's very good going forward in defence. Stian. Yeah, but Christian Falk has said there's absolutely no truth in that for Manchester United. So there you go. Thanks for everyone who's become a member as well. You can click the members club and join. We don't do our content behind Patreon or a paywall or anything like that. So if you want to help support the channel, please become a member. Get your little badge next to your name, which changes every month you remember. This window reminds me of the summer prior to Mourinho's sacking. Becoming really concerned for Ollie if the board doesn't act quick, says Clon. Look, I will say this to you right now. I think we're going to sign Sancho. I'm still very confident. I'm hopeful we'll sign more players. I think there's money there. You can justify where the money is from many areas. I think the money is there. But have no doubts about this. If United buy nobody this summer, Solskjaer's finished. And that's not fair. But he's finished because he can't progress this team with no additions and removal of players. If this squad is the same next season, then the best we can do is third. And I don't think we'll get that. So that means the fans will turn on the Ollie because that's just the way it works. And ultimately, Ollie will pay the price. His job is in the hands of the board. And I think Mourinho knew it the season he was sacked. Matt, Judge and Ed are a joke with transfers. It came to deadline day. We're looking for a striker and we sign a Garlo. No offence to him. I love a Garlo, William Jolly. But I said it at the time. It's an embarrassing signing. Gary Neville said it as well. It sort of worked, but it was embarrassing. It was desperate. It was only because Ollie knows the agent of Agallo. It was mates rates, and that's not what it was embarrassing. It was embarrassing what we did. Red Baron, I use like Mark. I use like Luke Shaw, but he seems he's constantly injured as much as Bay. What's the point of having a class player who's always injured? I mean, no, Luke Shaw's injury record's not been bad for the last 2 years. He's picked up an injury on his ankle because he took a bad kick on it. Any player could have got injured like that. Let's see what happens next season. Anyway, thank you everyone for watching. Big shout out to Boohoo Man. We've announced the winner of the competition. You've had the message sent through to you. £800 voucher from Boohoo Man. Absolutely fantastic for that. But you can be a part of that as well. We've got 40% off the Boohoo Man clothing range, which I'm wearing at the moment. Nice little tracksuit top with the zip. Nice fit. And the link is in the video description for that. 40% off, exclusive to United Stand viewers. All you've got to do is get in there, get the clothing that you want, and then on checkout, put the United Stand in as the code. No capital letters, United Stand. I've dropped the link in the video description for it with what you need to put, and you can get a massive 40% off. Some really top-notch clothing there for men. Boohoo Man, link in the video description. Thank you very much for the sponsorship from them. Thanks everyone for tuning in today. We've got the Sunday night show tonight with Ricky, Adam and Saeed. It's going to be an hour early because the Champions League finals at 8 o'clock. So we're going to be live at 7 o'clock tonight with the Sunday night show. It'd be great to link in with the lads. What do you think about talks that United will bring Ramsey? But no chance, Antonio. No chance. And my son is 25 left foot, played centre-back, out of contract, would play for next to nothing, says Wayne. I'm left-footed as well. I'll play left centre-back. Probably just a bit old now. Thanks everyone for watching. Boohoo Man, link in the video description, and I'll speak to you all in a bit.